Thanks for joining us for another Kickstarter conniption. Today we're looking at Mint Bid from Poketto.
And as always, we want to make sure you're aware that our Kickstarter conniption videos are sponsored in part by our Kickstarter backers and by the creators of this game. Hey gang, thanks for joining us at Tantrum House Studio 3. I'm Will Meadows.
And I'm Sara Meadows, and today we're looking at Mint Bid from Poketto, and this is from designer Ben Chang.
This is a 1 to 6 player bidding, a little bit of tile placement game that takes about 30 to 40 minutes to play. We were able to get our hands on this prototype copy, so let's take a look at how it's played.
To set up the game, shuffle the location deck and set up the number of cards in the deck for your player count.
The player with the freshest breath is the starting auctioneer, and they pass out 4 mints to each player and flip over locations equal to the number of players minus 1.
They will select a tile to start the bidding on and decide whether to hold an open auction or a closed auction.
For a closed auction, each player will secretly select a number of mints to bid and then reveal at the same time. The location will go to the 2 adjacent players who have the highest combined bid, and the location will be placed between them.
In an open bid, the auctioneer must start the bidding with at least 1 mint. Since locations are shared, players may negotiate with their neighbors and go in together on a bid.
Once the bid is complete and the tile is placed, the auctioneer token is passed to the next player who starts the process again.
Once all the tiles have been bid on, the next player flips a new set of locations and everyone gets 4 more mints from the supply. A die is also rolled, and if any players have matching locations, they gain extra mints.
Play continues until the location deck is depleted.
Before final scoring, special location bonuses are awarded to the player who has the most of each type of location, like deed, utility, etc. These actions include things like gaining an extra location or being able to rearrange a tile.
Finally, points are tallied for stars on each location, plus bonuses for matching completed mints on both a player's left and right side.
And the player with the most points wins.
524 Labs now. Poketto is continuing in their line of Mint games. We've seen Mint Control, Mint Works, Mint another one, and they're continuing in that line of taking big game ideas and compiling them and compressing them into tiny little mint tin cans. And this one you will be bidding as the main mechanic with a little bit of tile placement. It's a little reminiscent of the scoring that you see in like Between Two Cities or Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig, where you're actually sharing the point values on the left and the right with the players around you, trying to make sure you have the most points at the end of the game.
Yes, and in this bidding game, there are 2 different styles of bidding, open and closed, which we explained. The closed is very simple. You'll just place out and in your hand secretly and reveal. The open bidding is a little more strategic. There's a little more negotiation going on, as you are able to, since you're working together cooperatively with the players on either side of you, you are able to negotiate and say, hey, let's go in together on this one because they have a location that's worth 5 and they're way ahead of us. Let's work together. So you can do that. Each player does have to contribute to the bid, but you'll still go around the table, and each player will need to up the bid a little bit as you go around, or they'll need to pass. So you are allowed to switch and decide halfway through, oh, I'm going to go in myself instead of going with you. So there are some nuances to the bidding involved, but you ultimately one person will win the bid and then place it either on their left or their right in that little location area.
One of the things I liked about the game was that it wasn't just a matter of getting the most stars, because you do get those bonus awards at the end of the game. So if you can collect a specific type of building and make sure you have more than everybody else, you'll get additional bonus points. There's also that little bit of tile placement where if you're able to get the right additional tile to add to yours, you're going to get those bonus points at the end of the game. There's even strategy just in deciding, am I going to do an open or a closed bid? Because I don't know if we played this right or not, but I think the amount of mints on the table is pretty open information.
It is.
Maybe everybody just wasn't hiding theirs, but with the low mint count, that you're going to have, it's pretty easy to know, okay, I want this one, I need it for my set, they've got these many mints, I can do the math in my head, I can figure out how to, if I do an open or a closed bid, I can kind of have a little bit of leverage on that when you're the auctioneer. So lots of little tiny choices all the time, and a nice little tiny game.
Yes, and this plays from 1 to 6 players. Obviously, in a bidding game, there's usually more things going on. You'll have more locations in a higher player count. There are rules for a 2-player game where you'll go back and forth being the auctioneer. There is one where you can play with an AI, and there are cards in that. And then the 1-player rules where the AI has specific rules, and you get a very few number of mints, I think just 2, and you have to decide, am I going to keep this one? Am I going to let it go to the AI? And you'll go back and forth between the two.
Doing that math again, yeah, as well. If you're familiar with their other games, you know that the component quality turns out really great. We're obviously looking at prototype pieces, but I assume the artwork will stay very similar. The mints will, I'm sure, be identical to the mints we've seen in other games, and then the card quality will be there as well. I am curious to know if it ends up being cards or tiles or thicker cards or what they do with the buildings. But overall, nice little package. They always put together a good little campaign. So check out Mint Bid if that looks like something that you'd be interested in. And as always, thanks so much for liking, following along, and commenting on our videos here at Tantrum House. Games, we've seen Mint Control, Mint everything you can think of. What are the other ones? Minty Fresh.
Minty Fresh.